Good morning. I'm sure there's hardly anybody out there. There might be one or two. I don't even get any stats yet. And there's probably no reason for anybody to be out there. But I'm going to try to go 2 to 3 hours. And I'll probably have to explain this a few times when more people come in or when people show up. But being on Rumble, they just started something new. It begins in March. We're in March. And if I can stream live 30 hours by the 28th of March, I believe it is, the end of March, then I become eligible to be monetized. So that means I need to do a number of these, a couple of weeks, depends on how long I can talk. I don't even have anything to talk about. That's why I'm doing it on my private channel. Nice thing about Rumble, see, with YouTube, you can have your channel, but if you want to have a channel talk about something different, you have to actually create a whole separate account. With Rumble, you create your account, and I've got the Coffee Time Exotics, I've got my Sane in Colombia, and I've got my Grand Colombia Coffee Time Live, all under one account. I just select when I go streaming, and it puts everything in those little buckets. So it's makes it very nice. I got a couple people. The stats are starting to show up. There's a couple people in YouTube. I didn't even know I clicked YouTube. I wonder where it's showing in YouTube. I don't think I set it up. It's probably showing on Coffee Time Live channel. I've got a Sane in Colombia channel. It's a separate account. So that's the purpose today, is to try to live stream for 2 or 3 hours, whether anybody's there or not, whether I stay awake or not. Now, if people do come in, you can certainly interact on the chat. You can, Buenos dias from Northern California, Gail on YouTube. How you doing? Surprise. Glad you're here. It's probably going to be boring as hell. I got a few things I can talk about, but like I say, I got to stretch it out over 2 or 3 hours. It's not going to be fun for you guys, but it's something I need to try to do. I need to try to get monetized. So that's what they require. That's what I'm going to try to do. It's really that simple. Let me change the setting here. Up at the top, right up here, if you want to come on and have a conversation in video, that's the link for it. I'm on YouTube. Yep, I see that. It for me, it shows up that way. Let me put that on, and that, and they're not really showing up. Well, I can get rid of that border. Boom. And the chat goes right over top of it, so it doesn't work out very good. What's the other banner? That's kind of messing it up. But you can see there, I've got, there's 3 people on YouTube, 1 person on Locals, and 2 people on Rumble. So basically 3 and 3. Locals is a part of Rumble, and it's kind of like Patreon. It's more of a, you actually have to join to be on it. I'll probably develop something in the future. I was talking a couple coffee times ago about possibly having an account where I could discuss things that I can't discuss openly, for the sake of my visa, for example. You have to be careful. If I'm too critical of the government, if I say too much of what's true, it could affect my citizenship when I go for it, things like that. So you have to be, somewhat careful. But if I put it behind a wall, And so, in other words, I could do a live streaming on locals that would not be open to the general public. It would only be members. So I may try to develop that right now. I'm not really doing anything with it. I do have it set up. So one way that viewers can assist me in what I'm trying to do, I need to try to get monetized. I have to stop being broke. I put a lot of money in the coffee business, and it's probably going to be a couple months before it, really starts to generate a return. So if I put in the effort to, do videos, then, if they have an option to monetize, I'd be stupid not to try it. So that's the end game. So these are the hoops I have to jump through. But the way people can help, things that didn't matter in YouTube do matter in a place that can actually monetize you. So things like subscribing, I don't know if the likes or dislikes, I don't know how much they take stock in that. They take a lot of stock in sharing. So if there's a video and you think it's worth it, share it with somebody that you know. I know that helps a lot. The subscription is probably the biggest thing on Rumble. Now, YouTube has, I think it's $20, $25, something like that, where you can have a premium YouTube where there's no advertising. Rumble has something similar. I don't know how to do it, but I believe that there's some sort of credit to the algorithm also, that if people subscribe to the Rumble Premium, I know that all the big players that are on Rumble, the big million subscribers and that kind of thing, and they all really push the Rumble Premium. So I think that's part of how they grow. Okay, the address I have up on the screen is, if you were to go to that with your cell phone video, with your camera on, I could actually bring you in, and we could just kind of shoot the crap, have a little conversation. Link does not work. 404 page not found. Really? Let me look at it again. Copy invite link and go to chat. Get off the private and that's the one that it says. Oh, look at that. I didn't know I could do that. That's awesome. Yeah, it's still new. Well, it couldn't do this a couple months ago, because when I switched to Rumble, this is one of the things that's like, oh crap, I'm giving that up, and I hated it, but it didn't work. I just clicked on it for the jollies, and it came up. It puts it right on the screen. So that's pretty awesome. Then I get all this mess off on the other side here. So how do I get it off here? Right there. And it shows. So for example, when I put the comment in, it goes to the locals. You can see the logo there, the little 3 white dots and a red dot. Turn that off. It also goes to Rumble chat. So there's a little Rumble logo, and it also goes to the YouTube. So it's running 3 chats right now. It's running YouTube, locals, and Rumble. It's very cool. Did not know. All right, so let me go back here. I can't click on it to open it, but that's the one that's saying is Yeah, that's it. Link you posted works. The one I posted doesn't, even though they're identical. Okay. Well, maybe there's some little difference. Um, what am I getting here? Sane in Columbia started streaming. Yeah, I know that. Yeah. Oh, that's it. Let me go back here. Q L U E C W. Join Rumble Studio. I I have no idea. I have no idea. But even if you want to come in for a couple minutes, like I say, I've got to try to, and I'm not asking you guys to suffer through this for the next 2 or 3 hours, but I've got to suffer through it. And I'll have to do 3 or 4 of these this month to put me in the position where I can get monetized. So even if I'm sitting here all by my lonesome, let me take that off. Let's see. Did I have anything? I've been playing with AI. Somebody says, "How much work was this?" All I did was on this. What one was it? I think it was Canva. Um, maybe not. Maybe it's in my editing software. But it says, "Give a photo and tell it what you want." And I said, "Here's my photo, and give me the hammer of Thor creating destruction." And it came up with this. Now, whoops. I don't know why it gave me 2 hammers. That was kind of weird. Was there anything else? I don't really think I had anything else. And no. Move that. Don't need that up. I mentioned again the feature up there. Let me get that other thing off the screen. There. Boom. There. This allows you to go in at any time and record up to 1 minute a comment or complaint or request or whatever. If it was a topic, it's like putting it in the comments below the video, except you're doing it in video. And it's something that I could take a look at and put on like for the next week. This is on Coffee Time Live. If you have any interest in that, I would like to use that feature. I know it's like these videos, it's putting you guys through a lot of work, isn't it? I did open the coffee business. I got a number of orders the first day. That was Saturday. So overnight, I woke up 4:00 in the morning and there were several orders there. I haven't had any since. I didn't really expect much of anything for the first month or two. So, it's pretty cool. I've got a bunch of coffee sitting here in storage bags. And even though they're sealed up with the valve bags, it's like, oh, it smells so good. Somebody did ask me last week, how is it They saw my label, so I had to put this. Does that show up? Yeah, there. It says used by December 2025. It's actually it could have been February, but I printed it off some time ago, and there was no reason to waste them because I know everybody's going to use it before that anyway. But the way it works is if you grind the coffee, it's kind of it goes downhill right away, even in the bag. But as soon as you open the bag, you've just got a matter of days before it really alters how it tastes. If you keep it the roast to the whole bean, you don't grind it. From the time it's roasted till the time that the official use by date is 1 year. I didn't. That surprised me. I didn't realize that, but they have to be in those kind of bags with the valve. And somebody said, "Well, doesn't air get in with the valve? The valve is a one-way valve, and in all its the whole point of it is to release gases, because the beans after roasting emit gases, and it'll do it over a long period of time." Okay. When you post work, when I post didn't. I posted the lowercase l as an uppercase. That's why mine didn't work. Gotcha. All right. Well, did you go in? No. Feel free. Feel free. It is free. As long as you're on here, you got to help me out here. Keep me going. What do you want me to talk about? Anything you want to know? I don't have a camera. You got a cell phone? That's got a camera. Doesn't take much. This will do it. What do you watch on? Do you watch it on TV? I think most people use a cell phone to watch, which would drive me crazy because it's really difficult to see the chats, and it kind of overlays. And whenever I watch YouTube or Rumble, I always watch on TV. I don't have a cell phone either. I watch on a P. How can you not? How can you not have a cell phone? Everybody's got a cell phone. You got to have one here in Colombia, because unless your Spanish is perfect, and even if it is, everybody communicates with WhatsApp, and if your Spanish isn't very good, you can use WhatsApp and just use a translation. There's something I didn't know. Anybody who is watching, this might be a tip for you. Let me get to it. Bear with me here. I'm getting to it. This might be cool. All right. I got, no, let me, there we go. So here's WhatsApp, and I have it open to Aportes en Linea. That's my health insurance. And it's all in Spanish. You won't see that part of it. But down at the bottom, this is on Android. I don't know what it is on Apple, but on Android, you got the little square in the middle, and you got the back arrow to the right, and on the left, you got the three lines that will take you to all the different programs. Back arrow. If you press the center while you're in WhatsApp, press and hold, it pops up Google Translator. And over to the right, press that, and it just translated that entire thing in English. I didn't know that, and I was copying and pasting. It's a real pain in the butt. But it saves a ton of time. Look at everybody dropping off. I don't blame them. We had 6 people go away. What is your opinion on Trump dissing Zelensky? It's a hot topic here in the U.S. Yeah, I've become, first of all, I've become a Trump fan. At one point, I was a Trump hater. I've become a Trump fan. And part of becoming a fan was learning to understand how he operates, how he talks, where he's coming from. Because a lot of the things that I would view as offensive, I actually understand where it's coming from now. When I saw all the little clips on YouTube, they were only showing like a couple minutes where it was like the most heated. And I learned a long time ago, if you really want to know what's going on, you have to watch an entire thing so you get all the context. Well, the entire scene of that was about 40 minutes long. So I watched that. And watching that, it made me want to strangle the guy, Zelensky, because here's what was supposed to be going on. This is supposed to be done in steps. You're dealing with Putin. Probably not the easiest person to deal with, who holds the upper hand. Well, the war has been kind of a stalemate, and he's taken, a few pokes in the eye. On the other hand, he's got an endless supply of people, and Ukraine's running out. So that alone, it's an issue for Ukraine. That means you got to wrap something up. So the way this was supposed to work was sign the rare earth agreement. That would help Ukraine by getting 50% of the profit, and the U.S. would get 50% of the profit to repay the money that was given to Ukraine. Everybody wins. Plus, the computer and AI market in the United States no longer has to buy that stuff from China, which is probably not the greatest ideal. So everybody looks at that, and even people that hate Trump say, well, then that's probably smart. So that was step one. Step two later would be to work out a ceasefire, and then during the ceasefire, work out the agreement of what they're going to do. Now, Zelensky gets up there and he goes on and on and on about, first of all, what a scumbag Putin is. Doesn't matter if he's a scumbag or not. You're setting the stage in a public forum that's supposed to have peace talks, and this guy is putting demands, and we're never going to accept the ceasefire, and he's doing all that. You never say never, and you don't litigate a peace plan when you're not even at that point. There was no reason for him to be talking about any of that stuff. That was solely to sign an agreement. And what that agreement would have done, and what it seemed like for some reason nobody really wanted to come out and say it, but essentially, look, if we've got all our people in there, mining these minerals, and we've got a stake in this financially, and it becomes a national asset, we're going to protect it. So whether Ukraine's having issues or not, we're going to protect, our stuff. it was kind of obvious. Nobody was really stating that, but I'm sure behind closed doors they said, well, the first step is we kind of put ourselves between you and Russia. So that's, you want security. That's pretty good security. But it's only step one, and it's not even part of the peace plan. This is something separate. And he goes on and on about, what a scumbag Putin is and how he invaded. True. I don't know that anybody would argue that. But, Putin's watching that kind of stuff. He's sitting there watching it. How easy is it going to be to negotiate when you're sitting there insulting the guy, whether it's true or not? I mean, it's stupid. Why would you do that? And he just kept going on and on and on. And then he gets insulting. He insults Vance and he wouldn't shut up. He's, talking in the early part, because Trump eventually says, all right, you've talked enough. And I saw in one of those YouTube clips where, well, he was shutting him down. What was, why was he shutting him? Well, he's shutting him down because he had talked a lot prior to all those clips they were showing. If you go back, watch the whole 40 minutes, there was quite a stretch there where Zelensky just kind of went on for a while. I didn't see why he decided to kind of jump on Vance, and then while Trump was talking, it just kept talking over him, at some point, shut the hell up. What are you doing? And you could see Trump it was obvious. He got really pissed off because the guy, he's trying to destroy everything that all these diplomats have been putting time into, trying to set the stage. Putin's already saying, well, yeah, I'll come to the table. Yes, we can work something out. Yes, well, that's what you want at that point. You say, well, what kind of guarantee? Well, there's no guarantee in life, but you can set the thing up to where it would be too costly or too stupid for, Putin to move on it. And if you look at the history of what that was all about, it doesn't give Putin a pass for invading a country, but there was a reason he did it. It wasn't just because he's some psycho. There was an agreement that Ukraine would never be in NATO. And the last administration made a point publicly to say that they're going to put Ukraine into NATO. And it was like the last straw. And Putin has said for years, that's the last straw. Now, he doesn't get a pass because that had nothing to do with him invading Crimea. It had nothing to do when he rolled through Georgia back when Bush was president. He does that shit. On the other hand, you don't take a guy who's like Putin and give him excuses by breaking your agreements. And so that agreement was, they verbalized that was going to be broken. It's like, yeah, he shouldn't have done that. But on the other hand, did you really think he wouldn't do something? So that whole thing was stupid. It was like a setup. Let's see, what can we do to provoke the guy with something that we know he's going to act on? And maybe that's the case. Maybe so many people were making so much money off of this thing, including Zelensky, all that missing billions, the armament factories. When you have all that money flying around and nobody's really accounting for it, a lot of people get rich. And so, you get the feeling sometimes that, we're the pawns and, people are playing us and the rich get richer, it just kind of seems that way. So my feeling was the problem wasn't Trump and it wasn't J.D. Vance. And you could look at it and say, well, maybe they could have handled better. I don't know. What are you going to say when the guy won't shut up and he keeps throwing rocks into the machinery that's, we're trying to put something together here. It's got to be somewhat delicate and the guy's being a jerk. I thought it was pretty scumbaggish when this was all talked about beforehand, and this was not a discussion for any peace agreement or ceasefire. It was all about the minerals thing, those other things we talk about later. For him to come in and run his mouth endlessly, nonstop, rolling his eyes, pretty insulting. I mean, some of his facial things, it was like, are you kidding me? What made him think that was a good idea? It was, what can I do to sabotage what they're trying to do? And then he did it. I don't know. I see on some of the reporting, well, Democrats put him up to it. I don't think so. He's always been arrogant like that, with or without them. And it was actually reported rightly that Biden blew up at him a couple years ago. You ungrateful little scumbag, you come here and pretty much the same thing, except it wasn't, it was in writing. They call it a readout. So there was a readout of the meeting, where with Trump, he puts everything right up on video. So what's my opinion? That's my opinion. Zelensky came in there, it seemed like intentionally to sabotage the whole thing, seemed to think that he could roll over Trump and force his hand to do something that Trump had no intention to do, which I mean, you got to be blind, deaf, and dumb to think that was going to work. But he's pretty arrogant. So that's what I think. What do you think? See, if you could come on here. Let me get the audience submission off. Banner, audience submission. I think my guard downstairs is calling me. Let me go back to chat. You still here, Owen? Mr. Owen? What do you think? When NATO was formed, they promised not to expand 1 inch to the east. That's absolutely true. But then beyond that, there was an agreement. I forget what year. 90. It was with Clinton, I think. Well, there's been a number of times, but they actually signed yet another agreement because they took in some of the Eastern Europe countries, and Putin was, pissing and moaning about it. And then they met and signed an agreement specifically about Ukraine, that Ukraine would never go into NATO. Putin has shown great restraint using diplomacy instead of nukes. I have to agree to a certain extent. I never understood, and I try to be open-minded to these things. When back with Bush 2, when he rolled down through Georgia, I have no idea I remember, at the time, the so-called justification made no sense. There was no historical reason. He just decided to do it. Nowhere near as bad as what's going on now. And when he went into Crimea, there was some justification, but not really. And that was Obama, who pretty much a wink and a nod and let him. Obama could have kept him from doing that. It's if you remember back then, there was actually a fair amount of warning when you're massing the troops on the border and doing all the things that he was doing. It was like, yeah, well, that's maybe not, it's hindsight. But this one was, there was absolutely no doubt that Putin kind of got, he got a thumb in his eye. I don't know how you put this thing. It's like, well, he deserves it. Yeah, maybe he did deserve it, but you're you're getting what you kind of asked for. So I don't know, Scott, agree. Yeah, I know. Unfortunately, these things boil down to, well, you like Trump or you hate Trump. Well, if you hate Trump, then Putin is the devil and he can't have justification even if he does, and Ukraine has to be the hero and everything should go to Ukraine and all that kind of stuff. And it's like it's too one-sided. It's not realistic because people do things for reasons, and you should at least consider those. I don't know. And we as a country, the United States, I mean, we've been kind of the villains. I hate to say this, it's like, but this stuff that's been coming out, particularly the USAID thing, I started reading on some of this stuff, and we've been meddling pretty badly. And here in Colombia, it all came to a head when Uribe posted up on X yesterday about this trial that he's going through, and how the judge was an administrator of one of those USAID programs 20 years ago. He kind of laid out the case for his political persecution being funded by the United States with the USAID. And if you remember, the drug cartels, Uribe had almost eliminated the drug cartels back early 2000. And it was with Plan Colombia, and the U.S. invested like $1.5 billion, I think, over the course of some years in helping Colombia. And Uribe, he had him on the ropes. They disbanded. Then Santos comes along, funded by USAID, and Santos came up with a peace agreement that allowed these criminals, these murderers, to Minsk agreement. That's it. Thank you. To be in the political system, run for office, to be absolved of all their crimes, murder, torture, rape, all of that stuff. It's cool. They came up with this peace agreement that the people of Colombia were not for. I mean, some, but for the most part, they weren't. But he just kind of pushed it through anyway. And it's been a sore spot. Think of it as the Civil War. With the original signers of the Declaration of Independence wanted to steer around the topic of slavery because, we're trying to get something done here. And if we go too hard on this, then we can't keep everybody together. We'll deal with it later. Well, we dealt with it later in the Civil War. This was kind of like that. Well, we're going to put this piece together, and nobody really wants it. Nobody likes it the way we're doing it, but we can get it to work out later. It's what's he say? The peace agreements 1 and 2 sought to end the conflict in the Donbass region. Zelensky deciding to bomb the Donbass is the main reason Putin invaded Ukraine. The reason he invaded Ukraine was because of NATO. He went in. I don't remember who it was now, but it was like 2 or 3 days after this was said, he invaded. When they said that we're going to put Ukraine in NATO. And it was somebody from the U.S. publicly stated in Europe that Ukraine was going to be in NATO. And he was poised, but that's what pulled the trigger. I remember I watched the thing with Tucker Carlson when he went over to Russia and interviewed Putin. And people were saying, well, Putin's kind of crazy because, for 30 minutes he went off on, the history of Russia and all of this kind of stuff, and shame on Tucker for sitting there and just letting him go on and on. Why not ask him to hark? Putin was explaining why he and most Russians, even the Russians that hate Putin, why they feel the way they feel. I mean, Russia has been invaded a number of times in history. And the thing is, it always comes through Ukraine. It's always through Ukraine because it's the only way to go from Europe to Russia. And so Ukraine is, I'm kind of surprised that when the Soviet Union broke up, they didn't keep Ukraine as part of it because of that history. I always wondered about that, but they didn't. Ukraine was its own country, but it was a buffer. And, it's, think the Cuban Missile Crisis. It's like, no, you can have your missiles in Eastern Europe and they can reach us, but there's no way you can have them in Cuba. We need that buffer zone. It's kind of that sort of thing. You're too close. You're in my space. Okay. Anybody want to come on here? There's the address. You can join me and help me through this 2 to 3 hours of torture. I don't even know if my voice is going to hold out. It's always a problem when I do the Sunday show. I think it's because all the rest of the time I don't use my voice very much. Cuban Missile Crisis, perfect example. Well, yeah, kind of, I think. It's like, no, you cannot step in here. And Russia had agreed that they wouldn't, and then they did, and it almost came to a war. Well, in Putin and Ukraine's case, it did come to a war, but no surprise. And it was no surprise back with the Cuban Missile. I mean, it's like, yeah, you put missiles in Cuba and we're going to do something about it. And fortunately, cooler heads prevailed, and it was an incremental approach to it instead of just all out, let's go to war. It's a good tip I didn't know, which is a good tip. A propina. Now, Turtle said he was going to come in. Now, he's probably steering clear because he gets very upset on politics. I think he didn't talk to me for a year because of politics. So I can understand that. But he's got some news. He found a place. He's rented a place, and he's moving not far from here. He's moving to Pareda. I think on the next block to a Hart place. It'll be very close. It'll be very convenient. And he's happy that he's going to be back in civilization. And I know he loves to go to PriceSmart once in a while. And so he's got PriceSmart there. And while, although I talk bad about Pareda because I don't like it, it's too hot. It's too, yeah. However, I usually will say, but there are a few neighborhoods that are actually quite nice. He's moving to one of those neighborhoods. It's actually quite nice. It's a neighborhood I could live in, even though it's in Parade. I could live in a neighborhood. The only thing is, I might want to get AC. It gets hot on a lot of days there because of the topography. People say, "Well, you're crazy because of the altitude." Well, I've lived there. I've lived here. And so not crazy. We have microclimates, and in North Armenia, we have a microclimate that gives us a constant breeze, and we'll be 10 degrees cooler than in South Armenia, which is half a mile away, and it's a lot hotter. You go to Pareda, and it's shaped it's shaped differently. It's shaped like a bowl, and it just kind of traps the heat. And it also, back in the days when there was a lot of old cars, I mentioned this Sunday. There was a lot of old cars. The pollution there was unbearable. Oh my God, it was so bad. That was the worst. That's why originally I left on week when I wasn't working. I left for Condillo on the weekends so I could breathe. It was so bad there because it just similar to Medellin. You know, that's also like a bowl, and it kind of traps it. Chad sent me a message, and he's with a video, and he says, "Is this pollution or moisture?" Well, it's Medellin, so it's a little of both. Um, Pollution's not as bad as it used to be, but it's bad there. And but imagine if it were all cars from the 50s and 60s, spewing out. It was so bad. And so that's how I ended up coming out to Condillo, Armenia, and around here. Um, so I could breathe. It was a lot cooler and a lot more comfortable. Now, the pollution isn't anywhere near as bad now in Pineda. And where he's moving, it's in a particular area that has an effect by a tree growth that's east of it, I think. Get turned around on the maps, but I think it's east of it. There's a pretty good small forest, and that helps cool that area off a little bit. All right. Yeah. Do I have a lozenge? I do. Oh my God, this is from back when I was sick. That was months ago. Vicks. Yeah, it's all sticky and gummy. It's probably toxic. What else can I talk about? Utility bills. So I got my gas bill. My gas is for hot water, the stove, and there it is, Effie gas, and there's the amount, $28,000 for the month. How much is $28,000? Somebody figure it out. We're at $41.50 today, I think. 28,000. I used to, if you remember, you go back to my videos 6 years ago. I knew that stuff off the top of my head because I was still thinking in dollars coming from Ecuador. Let's see, divided 41.50. Okay, my gas bill is just under $7. This is the one that kills me because I don't do anything different, but it's gone from 190,000 to 261,000. This is my electric bill. Right there. Nothing, the things I leave on, I still leave on. It just keeps going up. And it's been every month it's been going up. So I don't know. I don't know what that's about. I know in the news there's been a lot of articles about this electric company, and I haven't read them because that didn't interest me. Pollution is my main concern with relocating to Medellin. It exists. It depends. Some things don't faze me. There's other things I'm probably overly sensitive to. One is smells. When I was in the car business, I could walk by a car and smell certain things. Like I could smell a coolant leak. Where other people, they say, "What are you talking about? That car's got a coolant leak. You'll find it," because I could smell it. I have a sensitive nose. Maybe that's why I'm into this coffee thing. I don't know. Another thing is medication. Uh, One time I used to have to public speak, and the crowds got bigger and bigger and bigger. And one time I had to go to Denver. Well, just before I went to Denver, I spoke in front of a smaller crowd. It was about 200 people. And I got stage fright. I kind of froze up and got tunnel vision and all but passed out. And I just I couldn't finish. It freaked me out. I'd never experienced that before. So I went to see a doctor. Doctor said, go see this shrink. I go see the shrink. And the shrink says, I went to see her 5 times. And she says, well, you don't really have a problem to shrink, which means she probably wasn't very good. But you just had an anxiety attack. And the problem is when you get an anxiety attack, the next time you'll get an anxiety attack over having an anxiety attack. And she was right. She was right. So she said, here's a prescription for something called Xanax. Just don't take more than one. Do it like, I don't remember, 20 minutes before you go out to speak, and you'll be okay. Well, I took one. I had to go to Denver, so I fly to Denver to speak. I took one, and I was so zonked out on the pill. It was kind of a disaster. And then I tried it the next time. I took a third of one, and it sort of worked, but it affected me. I could tell. I couldn't be myself because I could feel the effect. And back in the days when I did drugs, it was always an issue. So it's like it over affected me. So pollution, if I go to a place where there's any amount of pollution, my eyes start burning, and I can smell it even when other people say, what are you talking about? It really bothers me. So it's a reason I wouldn't want to live in Medellin, but it's not my main reason. My main reason, it's too big. It's changed too much. It's a place I wouldn't want to live anymore. I wouldn't anyway because of the size, but the way it's changed, I'm just not interested. And the traffic is just it's ridiculous. The traffic is just ridiculous. Motorcycles shouldn't have to go up on the sidewalk to mow people down. Oh, the peso dropped. It's 41.15 today. Well, that sucks. Well, the good news is I got my Social Security when it was at 41.50. It was lower before, and it just dropped again after. So I got the most I could out of it. So, Turtle, you coming on? Anybody else? Feel free to join me. What are you all cowards? It's easy. Look, I'm doing it. Join me. A funny thing is, I had to do a couple videos for coffee, and they weren't live. And it was so uncomfortable doing them. And then I had to edit them, and editing is like, oh my God, I hate editing. It was painful to get through it, not comfortable at all. And that's why I do so much live, and it's one of the reasons, and I do a lot less upload videos because I hate the camera, and it's always stilted. I'm just not comfortable. But when I'm doing it live, I feel like I'm talking to you. I feel like you are there, and I can just talk as though you are there. I can be more myself. And when you're doing a video that's lifeless, you're talking to a camera. It's just not comfortable. It never has been. So I've been doing these now 8 years. I'm comfortable with the live, and I hate doing the other. Although coming up soon, there'll probably be a series of upload videos. Plus, I got to do them for the coffee channel now. I have to get some coffee information out there so people know why they should be looking to experience the coffee that I've got. Why I started doing this. Okay. So what are we doing? Help me out here. I went on forever over your one question, so throw me another question. Maybe keep it away from politics a little bit, though. I know you guys are there. I can see you. I can see you. Those of you in YouTube, I can see you. In Rumble, I can see you. So I know you're there. So help me out here. Oh, there we go. Owen, when do you plan on moving to Columbia? Turtle, I can't believe you left me high and dry. So you can come on. I'll slide over this way, and you'll be right here. And then we can grasp at straws together. Well, at least we can talk to each other that way. Here, I only got the chat, and you guys aren't even, send me something in chat. Help me out here. I have to go at least another hour. At least another hour. I should be going 2 more hours. It's like, oh my God. Painful marathon. All right, let me check my phone. Oh, I missed a call. Don't know if it was important or not. Could have been. I'm actually expecting something relatively important, so it may have been to do with that. That would suck. All right. Send me something in chat. Give me something to work off of here. Otherwise, I'd just be sitting and staring at the screen, waiting for the 2 hours to go by. I'll be doing my nails and picking my nose and God knows what. Sharik is coming back the 6th. Keeps changing. They've decided to put together basically a family reunion. So there's people coming from all over Columbia in that family, and they're going to be meeting up in Pareda next week. So she's coming back, and then she's going to be going from here to Pareda for family reunion. I know some are coming out of Medellin. I misunderstood. I thought she said that we were going to Medellin, like I would drive there. But then she told me, no, you misunderstood. It's like family is coming from Medellin to Pareda and from other areas. So they're all kind of going to congregate at Turtle's new house, apparently. And she wants me to go meet all her family and stuff. And it's like, yeah. I mean, I'm sure I'll go along with it, but doesn't mean I'll like it. Okay, what we got here? There, I'm back. I clicked out for a minute. I know the chat's working. I hope you guys can't sleep at night knowing that you got me hanging out here to dry. I mean, you could at least you know, send me a something. Send me a something. What's it say? Marathon live stream to satisfy Rumble rules. Help me out. If I had enough, I could run a little ad campaign. They come up all the time in coffee time. I get a little green light telling me I'm eligible for an ad read. So if I stop what I'm doing, I can click on it and just read what it says on the. It puts a script up on the screen. I read it, and you pick up $5-10, something like that, off of that ad read. And it's tempting. It's tempting. How is your coffee business going, Rob? Hey, Rob, how you doing? Well, it just started. I had a pleasant surprise. The official day was March 1st. I had to switch around, and I mentioned a Sunday. The Coffee Federation required that I have a website that did not have the word Columbia in it. So I had already bought coffeetimeexotics.com, but I didn't have a website on it because I'm trying to save money. So I put it in Grand Columbia Live website. Well, I had to spend the money to basically buy the space for a website, and I had to create one. Then I had to have a shopping cart. Then I had to hook up my bank and PayPal and things like that to get paid. It was a pain in the butt because it was like the day before, and so it was a scramble. While I was doing that, I got an order through 2 days ahead of time through the old website, but I got the order, and it's good to go. And then I got a couple orders March 1st when I got up at 4:00 in the morning. There was a couple orders sitting there waiting. So getting those orders, when I just started, I was surprised. I didn't expect. Honestly, I didn't know what to expect, but I figured it probably won't get much of anything for the first month, maybe 2 months. I got so much to recoup out of it, and I needed to make money. On the other hand, the motivation wasn't the money. The motivation was this discovery of these particular coffees and how excited I get. And I, it's like, oh, you got to try this. You got to, so it just seemed kind of natural. Plus, you got to have things to do. So I decided, well, let me go in and see what it takes. It takes a lot. If I had known how bad the bureaucracy would be, I probably would not have continued. But no, this is not a Ukraine flag. This is a Colombian flag. I just noticed it's like, whoa. But it's much improved. I mean, I waited forever to get the bags. I waited over 2.5 months to get the bags printed and shipped back to me. It was so freaking frustrating. It should have taken a couple weeks. And it was just maddening. And it wasn't cheap. It was multiple millions. And it was the smallest lot I could get. No point in buying thousands and thousands of bags. So my first order was only 500 bags. Yeah, that was very frustrating. Do you have people in the Medellin area as well as Armenia to help with an exploratory visit? No, I do not. As a matter of fact, it's been so long since I've been in Medellin. That's why I was excited with the thought, oh, she has a reason to go to Medellin. I can drive her, and I can go back. And the thing is, if you're not there for anywhere for a number of years, all of a sudden you go back and it's like you barely recognize the place. But no, I mean, I know some people there, but I don't know anybody that would take time and be interested in doing that. just be careful. Medellin has become so damn commercial. So much. People, I got somebody in Medellin to get my visa. I got somebody in Medellin to do this, to do that, and it's like everybody's getting screwed. Overpaying, and because it's just gotten so cutthroat, commercialized. Just came back from Santa Rosa. Oh, I can click on this. I learned that. Just came back from Santa Rosa de Cabal. Notice more homeless and drug addicts. Is that just where I was, or is it on the rise? I wouldn't say it's on the rise. It was, after COVID, and then with 2023 in particular, and then somewhat last year with inflation, which cost jobs. All of that definitely affected the economy and cost jobs. But I think it's been kind of stabilizing. Yeah, I already answered that one. That's very cool. I can't believe I didn't know that. Well, I explained why I didn't know it. I didn't know it because back when I tried it some months ago, it didn't work. But as I said, they're constantly working on this and improving the features. But that's one of the things that it's like, oh crap, I won't be able to do that. And I think that's pretty useful thing. And the nice thing is I can see the Rumble, and I can see the locals, and I can see the YouTube. They're all right here in front of me. And as I said, if you look here on Scott's comment, you see it's got the little YouTube emblem. And if I look at Owen, it's got the Rumble emblem. It's very cool. Yeah, it's they're getting more and more features, but now I can be eligible to be monetized if I do this marathon this month. I have to stream 30 hours by the end of March, and I go into this pot where I'm eligible to be monetized. And at that point, they start doing profit sharing. What is the current status on your car? Last I heard, they've been in a wreck. Huh? No. I think what you're talking about was my old car, the Black Elephant, Negro Elefante, where I came around in my parking garage. I came around the corner, and somebody was speeding around in my lane, and I kind of swerved a little bit, and I hit a concrete post, and it dented the right side. It wasn't anything really severe. I checked, and as a matter of fact, to repair it and paint it would have cost about $200. Pick it up here, go do it, bring it back. So it wasn't like a massive thing, but I traded that in, and I've got a new car now. And I love it. It's an awesome car. There. I don't know if I still have a picture of it. Let me hunt a little bit here. Let's see. Photos. There it is. Car. Full screen. Create graphic. Never did this on the fly. There we go. And here's my new car. It's an awesome thing. I just learned that it takes I have to put premium gas in it. It was already getting amazing gas mileage, but it's got a little 1.5 engine, but it's got a ton of power. It's not turbocharged, which I'm grateful for. But it's a very high-tech engine, and it requires premium gas. But For a 1.5 engine, it's amazing. It's amazing how much power they get out of engines these days. Brand new. Well, it's not brand new. It's a year old and it's got 17,000 miles on it, but it's got the factory warranty. But I took a bank loan on it. I put down payment, traded my car in also. And yeah, I was actually going to get a Chevy Traverse. This thing was it was amazing. It had a lot more space. It had TVs in the back seat and had every option you could think of. I mean, it was more like a Cadillac or a Mercedes. I mean, it was really plush, really loaded. It had a pearl white paint. It was just gorgeous. It was flawless. But it was a 2014. The bank said, if you bought this in December, we could loan it to you. But as of January, it's because they go by calendar year, they only loan up to 10 years old. So I say, all right, that would have been cool because they're very, very simple, very basic. Everybody works on them. So one of the more popular brands here is Suzuki. And I'm familiar with Suzuki, and they're a very good brand. I thought they were all made out of Japan, but they're not. They're either made in Japan or made in Hungary. And the ones in Colombia are made in Hungary. But I can tell you that everything they're so well built. It's not a negative. Like interior panels, there's no gaps. Everything fits perfectly. There's no squeaks and rattles. I mean, the thing is solid. It's very impressive, very impressive, and there's not even a ding in it anywhere. I mean, the thing is, it's just flawless. 17,000 miles. It's some miles, but it's not very much. So yeah, I'm very happy with it. I paid $19,000. They're not. A lot of vehicles here are just not very expensive. I think brand new. It's brand new off the lot. I think it's 22,000, something like that. Well, depending on the option. This one is it's a model called the Live, and the Live comes with a lot of options as part of the package. It doesn't have every option, but it has most of the options. Yeah, it's a pretty awesome car. It sips gas. I mean, I have to figure it out because it's kilos per liter. It's somewhere city and mileage. I don't know if it was accurate. I'll have to actually track it better. But I came up with city and country somewhere around 40 something miles to the gallon. Out on the highway, like driving from here to PriceSmart, for example, I won't be the least bit surprised if this thing isn't 50 or better miles to the gallon. The gas, it doesn't have a huge tank. The gas tank is half the size of that Ford Edge. And it just doesn't, the gas gauge just doesn't move. I had to go twice out to Gimbaya, which is an hour away, for the coffee. I had to take the bags out, and then I had to go back and pick up the coffee because they put them in, they weigh them and put them in the bags for me. I was talking about the beans and the use by date. When the beans are green, none of that matters. It's when it's roasted. Once it's roasted, it needs to go into a bag sealed up with a vent. And from that point on, it's a use by date of 1 year. Those are the rules. And that's why I had that little video of me painfully putting these little stickers. I might still have that. Um, yeah, you can laugh at me because this was painful. And since we're trying to kill time here, let me show you. it it sucked. It sucked, but what the hell? You can't print it into the bag because I don't. It's like I may have these bags for the next year. So, and you say, well, it's December. They didn't. They kept them green. They stored them for me from when I bought them, and they didn't roast them until I actually came with the bags. Yeah, one thing somebody here said, "Oh, it's fresh roasted. Get it to me. I want to taste it." When it's fresh roasted, you don't want to use it for at least 2 or 3 days. There's too much gas that it's emitting, and it's not good. So fresh roasted is awesome after the first couple days. And that's where that vent comes in. It's most useful in those first few days. Let's see. From people wanting to visit Armenia, what is the most popular request? Lodging, food, recreational, lodging for food and lodging and food and recreational areas. They don't. People don't really request because they don't know. The request is, what do I think? When they come and they meet up with me, if it's something that I'm doing, they're going to throw money at me and I'm going to take them around. I show them, key areas of the city. During the whole time, I'm talking to them about all the nuances of existing here, just nonstop giving them information. I talk about different restaurants, types of restaurants. I talk about the towns here. In some cases, we'll go see some of the towns. So depending on what they're interested in, what they want to do, my conversation with them evolves to go towards what they're after. So, for example, when the family came, Jemmy, wonderful people. they wanted to do everything possible. So they went zip lining and hang gliding, and went to the hot springs, and every day we were doing things. Um, I'm surprised they survived it, but they had a great time. Um, and other people, they come and they just want to kind of observe, and that's it. So it really depends. I know what to tell them. Once we start talking, and I get a sense of what their interests are and that kind of thing, and then I can steer them in that direction. But people don't generally know, so they generally don't really have much to request. All right, let's see. Juka, how you doing? Your estimate is quite accurate. My Suzuki, 46 miles to the gallon, 4.9 to 100 kilometers. Yeah, I don't get that at all, but the miles per gallon I get 46. That's what it seemed like. Um, it's amazing, and a lot of my driving during that period was in stop and go traffic. It was more city, because to go to Kimbaya, I have to drive all the way through Armenia. There's no way around it. So it's like all stop and go from the entire length of Armenia. And then coming back, the voice is doing well, keep going. Yeah, it's a concern. Coming back, same thing, going from south to north. And I had to do that twice. And then on the way to Kimbaya, I have to go through Montenegro. Oh, with the Negro Elefante, my Ford Edge. One of the issues I had with it was the windows are pretty much blacked out. It was a black vehicle, had Cali license plates. I couldn't go through a road check without getting stopped. And over the course of 2 months, 4 times I got a shakedown for 200,000 pesos. So that's it's $200 worth for, well, I've explained it before. I mean, you could somewhat justify it, but it sucked. I've gone through five or six road checks, police stops. Everyone waved through, just like back when I had rental cars. Just waved me through. I got Armenia license plates. It's got window tint, but you can still, it's not blacked out. It's legal window tint. And it's not a big old, drug dealing looking car. It's just a little, Suzuki Vitara, which are actually pretty roomy. I mean, I don't sit with my seat up close. I kind of stretch back. I'm only 5'10", but I think I got long legs or something, because I always sit back further than what it seems like most people do. And then you can go sit in the back seat, and you still have leg room. So it's pretty impressive. And then my concern was all the way in the back in the storage. I have this big plastic tote that I have all kinds of stuff in it with a lid to seal up on it. And it fits in there no problem and still has plenty of room. So, all that's pretty cool. All right, let's see. Back from retirement to entrepreneur. I'm certainly no longer retired. I have it designed to where it will not be labor intensive once I get rolling. But to this point, that's not really the case. It's been a lot of work and a lot of money. I just hope it doesn't go south. I need that money back. I need it back soon because of the delays of the bag, everything I planned out. I thought I was going to be getting a return on investment by January. We're into March. And even those few orders that I got, the initial orders, the internet shopping cart thing, which you have to set up, even though it's a program that it's my account to my bank, but going through them, because of all the fraud out there, they withhold the money for 10 days on your first transaction or first couple transactions. And so I won't even see that money for who knows. But, the shipping, I can't ship out immediately because it's my first time. So March 10th, the 10th of March, any orders I get up until the 10th of March, they're all going to be shipped on 10th of March. And then after that, I can ship them once a day. So there's that. The shipping is a thing. I have to figure out, you know, how to get them to come here to pick the stuff up and all of that kind of stuff. But in this shopping cart program, it's actually pretty good. I got it through what's the software? Odoo, because it's got inventory management and it'll tie up to my bank, and so it'll save a lot of work. Things are much more automated, and so so I'm using that, and that'll ultimately make it good. Plus, it's got a label format. So if you're using FedEx, which I'm not, or DHL, which I am, at least initially, it has their formatting. So you just put the paper in the printer and it'll print it out and be all set to go. So that's pretty cool. What's the smallest order of coffee viewer viewers can order, and what's the best link to do so? The smallest order, I explained this. Oh, where are we? Here we go. I figure I click on it and it's like double clicks on its own or something. The smallest order, because of the way shipping works out, I can't really. It's too. It's hard to explain. But if I ship one bag, it's exponentially more expensive than if I ship two. So the smallest order is 2 bags. They're 340 grams a bag. So it's like a pound and a half. For what's typical for specialty coffees, exotics, is to be 250 grams, but it was actually my option. I opted for 340. And these are bourbon rosado. So if you order these, this is what you'll get. Let's see. In the taxes included. The link. I mean, I know the link, but I want to put it up on the screen. There we go. CoffeeTimeExotics.com. These are not regular coffee. This is single origin, and these are rare types. If you, I thought about just doing regular coffee, and I might in the future, but that will be a certain amount of volume because it'll be a lot cheaper. Of course, anything is cheaper, the more you can sell. Colombian coffee, it's all good. But my whole point was to share my experience of these single origin rare coffees because they're different, they're unique, and it's like, I don't know, I found it fascinating. And so that's what triggered me to want to do this to begin with, is to kind of be able to share that experience. Because back in the US, you cannot buy this coffee. anywhere. You can't even buy it here in Columbia except through me, because each location something is grown is slightly different than another. That's why I went around and I visited a whole bunch of different farms and tasted and tried different things. This farm was awesome, and they committed to me that they will only sell to me. So they don't sell here in Columbia. Of course, there's small batches because it's very expensive to grow. I've explained that, but I have an exclusive on buying this coffee. So if you want to experience what it is I'm experiencing, that I'm the guy. That doesn't mean you wouldn't have coffees that were similar. You could get a bourbon rosado. You can find those. That's a red Bourbon. It's not bourbon, it's Bourbon. You can find those, but there's little differences to it. There's little nuances to it because of the particular soil. Every level of altitude, it changes a little bit. And there were 4 coffees that blew my socks off at this farm, and so I've committed to those 4. Now, in the future, I might expand it to not necessarily a specialty coffee, but a less common coffee like Caturra. It has characteristics that are noticeably different as a single origin than just your regular Typica coffee that you would buy like Juan Valdez or something like that. So I'm toying with that idea. The quantities are a lot greater because it's less of a specialty. It's less expensive to grow, and so there's more of it. But the 4 right now, you can see on this panel, I've got Bourbon, Rosado, Mocha, Tabi. That's the least specialty of this batch, and Geisha. I only have currently these 2. I do have a harvest in about a week or so. I'll be going over there taking some videos. The spring harvest is starting, and that'll go on for, I don't know, probably 4, 5, 6 weeks. They go through, they pick the red berries, and then some days later they go back and pick the green ones that weren't ready. Now they're ready, and they're red or yellow or whatever they're supposed to be. So let's see. So Rob, thank you for keeping me going for a while. When you're doing a 2 or 3 hour marathon and you come into it, I didn't really plan out a 3 hour long thing to talk about. And nobody's here to join me. Come on, guys. Right up here on the screen. Studio.rumble.com. Join. You can come online with me. Somebody should, be brave, give it a try. Oh, you guys are regular watchers, and anybody on this probably is. You all know through chat Rob of Fort Lauderdale. He worked for Social Security. His retirement was in 2 months, and they offered to him that he could do an early leave. And if he accepted it, he got a bonus of $15,000 early retirement. So he gets his full retirement from them, not Social Security. He's not old enough for that, but you have your retirement and then you have your Social Security, right? So he gets his full retirement. They give him $15,000 in cash if he accepts it, and it saves him 2 months. He's been doing nothing but thinking about moving. It's like every day he does a countdown. So, I mean, what a blessing for him. And Rob, congratulations. I think, well, maybe tomorrow is his last day. He said it. He said he had a day and a half left. So I think maybe tomorrow is his last day. So that's awesome. He's gonna go to Medellin first, and then from there he actually plans on traveling to a whole bunch of different places and spend maybe a month in each one. He'll probably run down to Argentina, maybe Chile, and different places around Colombia, and use Colombia as like his headquarters. So I know that's pretty exciting. I have to leave for a bridge game soon. I'll try to order a couple bags of coffee before I take off. Wishing you the best. Thank you. There, just see, it's doing that double click thing. I have to figure it out. My favorite is the mocha of all of them. It's the one that surprised me the most. And I was studying up on all the hundreds of different varieties and how they came about, and some are done in labs and some have been done in the field. But then you have your original varieties, everything that, it's like the original family, and everything kind of shoots off and grows from there. And mocha is actually one of those original ones. Bourbon is like the second tier, and it has a French name because it was the French that took it to the Isle of Bourbon, where it got its name and grew it, because all the coffees grow basically near the equator, all around the world, but near the equator. And so many things come into play. The variety comes into play, the soil, the altitude, the amount of moisture. There's so much that affects it. And then, once it's there, the grind, you can take the same coffee, and if you have the wrong grind, it can taste like crap. If you get the right grind, it's awesome. The temperature of the water, you want it just below boiling. You don't want it boiling. All of those things affect it. And one of the things I found interesting is if you're trying coffee, you try it when it's at its peak temperature. Then wait 5 minutes. It's cooled off a little bit. You try it again. Wait another 5 minutes. Try it again. As it goes down, the flavor changes. It's fascinating. Everything isn't great at the hottest temperature. As a matter of fact, it's not the worst, but it's not that good. As the temperature drops a level or two, that's where the flavor kind of comes into its own. And then as it drops more, it kind of reverses itself, and it starts to degrade in that quality of taste. So there's that peak moment, and you don't know what that is until you try it. So a lot of this is experimentation. Now take a guy like James Hoffmann, who's the guru of coffee. You look up on YouTube with James Hoffmann. He's been doing the guy has his credentials. He was like the world champion barista for year after year after year. He knows what he's doing. He makes awesome videos. He's so smooth and polished now. He has that English accent that's always money in the bank. But his knowledge of coffee and how he puts it together for videos, it's just amazing. I've learned so much from him, and then I go back and I try it with these coffees, and it's like, wow, I thought that was just amazing, but then, oh my God, I learned how to make it better. it's pretty fascinating. All right, what else we got? Nobody's joining me. Turtle probably got turned off because we started off by Yeah, if he hears the word Trump, it reminds me of who was it? Slowly I turn Three Stooges, step by step, inch by inch. Yeah, you remember that? Yeah, well, he's actually mellowed. I think this time around he's not as he was fanatical at one point, and I think he's much more tolerant and more um, open. I think he's more open minded these days. But I try to avoid the topic as much as possible because we get along otherwise. Actually, I count him as one of my friends, and only people that I count as friends here, you can count on one hand. Then I have acquaintances, nice people like that. But anyway, but then I get on here and I talk about all these private things that I would never talk about normally. So I don't even know how you count that one. Complete my purchase. I didn't check my email. Buenos tardes. Gracias for. Let me bear with me a second here. My coffee people just wrote me. Cool. All right. Sorry about that. Bridge game. What? Who plays bridge? Well, obviously Rob plays bridge. Never played it. Pinochle was a game I grew up with, card game. I grew up with Pinochle. And then there was was it Euchre? It was called Euchre. It was similar to Pinochle, but a lot less cards and less complicated. And in high school and not a high school, that was huge in upstate New York. Yeah, I think it was Euchre. This is so long ago. It's like when you're going senile, you just don't remember all. Actually, when you're going senile, those are the things you do remember. You just don't remember what did I put in here? Was it water? It is water, by the way. Oh, look, I have merch. Okay. All right. What's next? What's next on the agenda? We got 60 to 80 minutes more to go. Oh, my throat's still here. Oh, today is Starship. Yeah, Starship launch. It got scrubbed yesterday. Have you talked about Sharika's school project? She said they start school on Wednesday. Not since Sunday about that. I mean, we talk constantly, but and she told me that they're going to be starting school, but she didn't say specifically when. I didn't ask. She knows that unless it's something pressing, I don't really care to know about details about anything. I don't know how to explain that, but it's something that she's learned about me, and I very much appreciate it. She spares me the details because if I'm focused on other things, then you could tell me stuff I'm probably not really listening. So unless it's really important to me, yeah, it's selfish. She tells me that we have an anniversary coming up. So she going to expect flowers or something? I don't know. it's we had we had conversed for a long time, and then one year we finally decided to get together and meet, and it was actually a business meeting. It was about coffee, and so that's she's going from that point. So that became an anniversary date. You guys may remember a couple years ago when I went to see her, and well, it kind of sucks that what our original plan was. She was going to be my business partner for Shariq Coffee, but then she was trapped in Cauca, couldn't get out. And I had all this stuff that had to get done. I go, wait a minute, this wasn't I'm not supposed to be doing all this stuff. We're supposed to be partners here. I'm retired. I don't want this full time. And she said, well, I can't get out. I don't want my family members killed or whatever. So we agreed, all right, look, I'll just go ahead and proceed because, well, she said you should proceed because I'd already put money into it. I put a lot of time into it. It's like, it would be a shame just to throw that out the window. But then I told her, because the thing was, she knows about the specifics about farming and growing coffee and different varieties and how to create them. And she knows the science, the technology of it, went to university for it. She knew that. I know business, marketing, that kind of stuff, which she doesn't have a clue about. So that was the merger that we're going to have. But I taught her a lot of that when we had been together. So I said, well, why don't you continue or create Shariq Coffee in Cauca? Because there is a particular farm there that's a pretty good farm. It's not so much about the specialty. He does more with blends and things like that, but it's good coffee. And I said, why don't you just continue that? It'd be more commercial. What I'm doing is actually, it's what I'm doing is more like for coffee snobs. Honestly, I guess I've become one, but what she's doing is more commercial. And so it's worked out pretty good. And of course, being more commercial allows her to sell within Colombia. And because of people that she knows, she's got family members in Cartagena, for example, that are actually in process of setting up a warehouse. And they're basically sales and distribution for her. So she's been making pretty good money on her thing. So it's worked out. It's worked out for the best, and plus I get to focus on what I had interest in, because the only thing that piqued my interest, she was talking about doing it more commercial and just kind of spreading around. I don't want to do. I have no interest in that. I have no interest in just selling some coffee blend. All the coffee is good, but it's what makes something that much better and unique and something that I've never experienced, and that's what got me interested. And so she's young, so her looking at it as a way to let's make money and build a coffee empire, I completely get it. She's not wrong. On the other hand, I'm old. I'm retired. I don't give a crap about that. I need to make money. I mean, because it becomes painful when it goes out and doesn't come back. So I need to build that cushion. And so hopefully we get to that point with this coffee. But the whole point of it was this personal passion I had about it. And so now we get to do both. I get to do the exotics with mine, and she's basically here most of the time, but has to go back every so often. So she's here most of the time. So she's running her business from here, and I'm running mine now from here. And, so we both get to satisfy what we're trying to do. At some point, she doesn't know anything about doing a website or something. So maybe I'll roll hers into my website. So it'll be my coffee plus her coffee, because she's selling coffee that I'm not. But that aside, it is interesting, particularly if that farm, I believe that they're starting to look at growing some specialty coffees, or maybe they had already started, this wasn't available. In which case, it's interesting to get a coffee, which I did here when I visited farms. You get a coffee from a different area, and you get this coffee and compare them. And the best way to compare coffee is compare them against another coffee. So if you get your little sipping cup, as a yeah, I don't know. Some of this is you guys are going to know completely. Other guys are not going to know what I'm talking about. Yeah, I don't know how to handle that. But what you do is when you do a coffee tasting, you get this little cup, and they'll put in a certain amount of coffee, and you'll have 3, 4, 5, 6 of them, all of different types of coffee. And then they pour in the hot water. And then you take a spoon and you just kind of stir it. You slowly stir it. And what happens is the coffee, as it gets wet, will all drop to the bottom. And then you don't pick it up and drink it. What you do is you just take a sipping spoon and you just kind of scoop it in, and you okay, I'm exaggerating a little bit, but you are aerating and tasting it. You're getting that taste. And then you try this one, and you're trying it. You have something to give it perspective. You're comparing the two, and that's when wow, I really notice that where you do it on your own, you pick up on it. It's different. You got all that, but when you compare it, it's like on steroids. It's like, wow, that really stands out. You begin to notice things I didn't even notice that, where now I'm noticing it. And that's where you get into when people are talking about, well, I'm getting a little citrus. I'm getting, like a tangerine, and I said this Sunday when I first was tasting these coffees. I'm thinking, I've got good nose, I've got good taste. I'm not tasting any tangerine. What the hell? It's like, am I broken? But then as I do it and I'm comparing them, I realize it's not necessarily that you're tasting tangerine directly, but there's sensations of a taste, and you're picking those up. So if you taste it and you compare it to this one, it reminds you of tangerine. Doesn't taste, it's not like you're tasting tangerine juice, but it reminds you of it. Maybe it's a little brighter. Maybe it has a little bit more acidity. Maybe it's a cleaner, so you get reminders of it. And so then you get things like chocolate, or brown sugar, or more mature fruits like ripe banana or ripe mango, or, so you have these different categories, and whether it's a fresh fruit or maybe a more mature fruit, a ripe fruit, or if it's chocolatey or brown sugar. These are categories of differences. Then you notice certain things like if the coffee is maybe a little acidic. Well, all coffee is a little acidic, but maybe a little more than is typical. You feel this like pulling right in your jaw. It's like, wow, what is that? I'm reading the acidity. And so the more I feel that, the more acidic I know it is. So if you're doing these little scorecards, it's like, all right, I notice it's there, but barely. Maybe it's a 5 out of 10, but it's like, wow, it's really potent. Well, maybe that's an 8 out of 10. That's a lot of acidity for a coffee. So same as drinking wine. Yeah, I think I love wines. I drank wines my whole life. I really appreciate them. I have my favorites. I mentioned Sunday. Beaujolais is my favorite from that region of France. It's my favorite. But Merlot is it's my go-to drink and wine. But I've never done a tasting with wines. I've tried all kinds of different ones. Like Malbec is pretty good. Those are more recent wines to me. Um, so where there we go. Oh, that's where it is. That's how I don't double click. Man, I just keep learning it. I think I figured it out. But I imagine it's the same kind of thing because you may now in drinking wine, there are certain things that I can almost taste in a wine. Where in coffee, I think it's a little less direct, maybe a little less direct, but it's that sensation, and it's hard to explain until you sit down and you compare it. And then once you realize and you pick up on it, it's like, oh, I get it now. It's just a language that enables you to describe the differences of what it is you're drinking. You know, it's like, I don't know what to say. It's coffee, but it's not. It's different. I don't know how to put it in words. So it's a method that they use to be able to put in words so that if you use that same language to somebody who also uses that language, they can actually imagine the taste that you're experiencing. Where if you don't understand that language, how do you put it into words? How do you explain those kinds of things? Like the chocolatey one, it's like all coffees that I've ever tasted have that sensation of chocolate. It's just the amount of how much, and whether it's like a baker's chocolate or a sweeter chocolate, and it's amazing how much sweetness is in coffee, and I never even realized before. It's sweet coffee. There's things they don't go together. Well, they do actually, because some coffees have more of a sweetness than other coffees. And then you get to the things like the Vietnam coffee. It's a Robusto. It's a shit coffee. But it's, how do you say this? When people in the US and a lot of places in the world, their favorite coffee is going to be what they call espresso. But they're not really, they're calling it espresso, but that's not what they're really talking about. They're talking about dark roast. Espresso is actually the machine, and most espresso is actually done with a medium roast. But they like the dark roast. They like, it seems like it's stronger. And if it's stronger, it has more caffeine, and I'm drinking it I drink 5 cups before I go to lunch because I'm trying to stay awake. I'm keeping that energy up and all of that. But that's the worst way to drink coffee, in my opinion, because dark roast is used to hide inferior coffee. They can, when they're doing coffee, there's certain, like for example, you'll have beans in a water tank. And one of the things they'll do is the beans that are lighter are inferior beans, and they'll actually float. So they'll scrape those off. Well, here in Colombia, they throw those away. But in a commercial operation where it's headed out to do dark roast to Europe or the United States, they'll keep those right in there. They're inferior. And if you were to taste them on their own, it would taste like, oh my God, they're harsh and bitter. And it's like, what is that? But you can mix it in with dark roast. Nobody's going to know, because what you've really done is you burnt the beans. Think of it as a steak. You get the most flavor out of a steak at a medium rare, right? It's juicy. You get all the, you get a lot of the flavor, but you want the outside to be a little crusty. You want that little Maillard reaction to the outer. You want a crust on the steak, but you want it medium rare. And you get towards medium, it starts to get a little tougher. The flavor starts, it's not as juicy. You get up to well done, it's shoe leather. You don't even want to eat it. it's very similar with coffee beans. It's all about a Maillard reaction. That happens. And when you get up to the point where it's a dark roast, you've really just burnt them. You've eliminated the moisture content that was in them. You can't distinguish between a good bean and a bad bean. Because what you're tasting is the burn. You're tasting the char. When you get a light roast, I really dislike light roast. To me, it's like eating a blue steak. It's the way my brother, who just left us, he would love it if the cow walked in and you just cut it off the side of the cow and throw it on the plate. To me, you're just tasting the raw meat. You're missing the juiciness, and you're missing, medium rare is a good way to go, in my opinion. And the light roast for coffee, it hasn't developed those flavors yet. So you get a lot of when a bean is green, it's almost like earthy, like grass, like and it's a one note thing. Nothing's developed, and it's not very pleasant. Reminds me of like cut grass. But as you get to a medium roast, all those flavors are developing, and you get to a peak. And depending on what the coffee is what the peak flavor for that particular coffee is. So it could be on this end of the medium, it could be on this end of the medium, right in the middle. For that particular coffee, there's a sweet spot. So they're all going to be good, but there'll be a particular point, which is why people say, why don't you ship it just with the green beans? Well, one, I only want to do it 2 people, and what are they going to do? 2, if it's roasted in the United States, they don't know this bean. They can medium roast it, but at what point? So is it immediately after the crack, or you're going to wait for the second crack, or at what point? So I have them roasted here by the people that know that particular coffee. So the Bourbon is roasted slightly different than the mocha, even though they're both medium roast, because they know the coffee. We got a comment here. Dark roasting is why I dislike Starbucks coffee. Yeah, I hate it. Most people think it's better, but it's actually worse. I always hated Starbucks. Let me just say something else here. Having taste comparisons is a great way to accelerate your knowledge of different notes and train your palate. Yeah, it meant the world to me, because I could tell there was something there, but it would have taken me a long time to kind of figure it out on my own. When the comparison, it was just obvious. It was just right in front of me. He got the golden handshake. Scott, don't know what you mean. Don't know what you mean. My brain goes off in a direction and it loses me. Let me check something here. Da, 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 da. Rob just bought a coffee. Thank you, Rob. Okay, so what's a golden handshake? Not sure what that is. I probably should know, but all right, what else we got? How are we doing? 2 hours. I could end it here. That just means I got to do more later. I'm going to try to get 1 more hour in. Even if you guys aren't here, I just maybe just sit here and stare at the screen to 30 hours. Man, I started out with 4.6 hours. So it'll be 3 hours today. So 7, almost 8 hours. And I got to reach 30 by the end of the month. Things will do for some money. If I had 3 more viewers, I could do an ad read. I mentioned this earlier, but I've got a thing here. It's a tab that says campaign, and when you reach a certain amount of people watching, it comes alive, and I get a green light. And if I click on that, it puts up on the screen for me an advertisement where I can read that advertisement and get paid. They happen during coffee time. I just don't interrupt what I'm doing. I just haven't felt like it. But the first one that comes up is Rumble Premium. So there's a little advertisement for that. There's one here for Truth Social. This one is positive. It's dog food, I think. No, or maybe it's a dog clinic or something like that. I'm not sure. There's one for coffee, which I wouldn't do anyway. That would be stupid. 5G free. Don't know what that is. And then there's one here. This one comes up. Be naked. It's tough to be a man in a world dominated by overly masculine liberal women. So be naked. Can I read? Oh, I can open it up. Everywhere we look, it's general neutral. This product or made for her. Men's life matters too. Yeah, okay, that's interesting. Anyway, so I have those available. It kind of cracked me up. Any comments? Anything you want to know about? You can ask me questions about Columbia, of course. You can ask me about coffee. You can ask me about my car. New order. Oh, I got another one. Bear with me here. Interesting. Very cool. Couple orders. Awesome. Maybe I won't go bankrupt. Do a video. My experience of going bankrupt in Colombia. What not to do. Don't take out a bank loan to buy a car. No, actually, I'm happy I did that. It was a good way to go. It's actually, well, I can project. It will be less of a hassle and less money than the way I was dealing with cars. I owned 3 vehicles prior to this one, this new car. And those 3 vehicles, well, the last one, not too bad, but I had some repairs. I had to do the axles. They weren't cheap. I had to ship them from the US. The axles were cheap, but the shipping cost almost double what the axles cost. You get an older car, you have problems. One of them, I couldn't even get the paperwork done on it. One of them was had a bunch of fines that were hidden, and 3 years later, they all turned up. So, I mean, the hassles of the cars themselves, the repairs, what I had to go through, and then getting rid of them, getting rid of the liability, all of that kind of stuff. Here, you get it from a dealer. It comes with built into the price. It's got all the collision and comprehensive insurance, and it's got mechanical coverage. Plus, it's got the factory warranty. towing, rental car. It's all. I don't have to deal with any of that crap. It's all there. You just make the payment and it's done. So that that's cool. That's cool. If it doesn't break me, it's definitely cool. So I got no takers that want to come on, and nope, nobody there. Up here on the top of the screen, you could join me. You could do a call in. Let's see, what else do I have here? Anything? Oh, let's check this out.
Afro el bravo le dice, lo dejaron tirado, como efecto de los golpes, camina cachondeado. Antes rotaba de guapo, pero ahora mismo está recogiendo galletazos por todita la ciudad y camina de lado. Como que te cachondea, vagabundo, como que te cachondea, cachondéame, como que te cachondea, vagabundo, como que te cachondea, como que me cachondéame, como que te va de lado. Suéltalo por panadero, cuidado que tú eres un bacalao, salao, como que te cachondea, vagabundo, como que te cachondea, vagabundo, como que te cachondea, vagabundo, como que te cachondea. La rumba buena te llama y no la puedes gozar. La bebida que han gastado, la rodilla de bailar y camina de lado, como que te cachondea, vagabundo, como que te cachondea, como que te cachondea, vagabundo, como que te cachondea. Al bailar la rumba buena, bailar va toda la gente. Yo se lo dije a Vicente, que la rumba buena se camina de lado, como que te cachondea, vagabundo, como que te cachondea, que tú llames, como que te cachondea, vagabundo, como que te cachondea. Ajá. Y es para ti, Yulesi.
Man, I'm tired just watching her. Whew. Man, okay. That's Sabrina. You guys gave her that name. So, do I have anything else here? Oh, yeah, I got my, I'll show this again. I showed it earlier. My 2 minutes on AI yesterday is a joke. Yeah. What else? What else we got? Well, people are dropping off like flies. Like flies drop off. Let's see. I did that. I think that's about all I got going on here. All right. See if we can get at least another 20 minutes. Maybe get to 2.5. I can't believe it. I have to do this like what, 3-4 more times? More? How much do I have to do this? Well, if it's 30 hours, so I do 3 hours and I'd have to do that 10 times. Wow. Holy crap. So I have 2 down, so I have to do it 8 more times. Oh. All right. So up here at the top, right here, you can join me and come in and show your face on here. I don't know that I'd want to, but and we can have a little chat. There's another thing. Get rid of that. It is, oh yeah, like, comment, and share. That's important on Rumble. And oh yeah, audience submission. That should be in the chat below the video, where you can record up to a minute and I can put it in next week's coffee time. This is not coffee time. This is just, it's actually on my private Sane in Colombia channel. But with Rumble, notification goes out. I explained earlier that with YouTube, each channel is its own separate account. So I have Sane in Colombia, which is one email address, and I have Grand Colombia, which is another email address. I've got Coffee Time Exotics, it's another email, and they're all separate accounts. With Rumble, I have one account, Grand Colombia, and within that account, I have the separate channels. I've got Sane in Colombia and Coffee Time Live, and I've got Coffee Time Exotics for the coffee. So if no matter what I'm running, if you're subscribed on any of them, you'll get notice whenever something comes up. In YouTube, you only get notice if that particular channel comes up. So that's how a lot of people were notified. What was I gonna show here? I was gonna show something. Oh, this is my old intro for Sane in Colombia, where I would comment on things that I couldn't comment on my Coffee Time channel. So that's my intro. All right. Oh man, this is hard. I feel like I'm running a marathon. Okay, guys, you carried me this far. Carry me a little farther. Scott, what are you talking about? Golden handshake. Does anybody know what he's talking about? And if anybody has any more questions or comments, you feed me something. Then I can blab on for another 10 minutes. But I'm coming up dry right now. Help me out, please. Please. It must be lunchtime. I don't eat breakfast. I get hungry around lunchtime, but I'm feeling a little hungry. All right. 2:17. So today is SpaceX liftoff. Hopefully, it was scrubbed yesterday. I think it's around the same time, around 6:30, somewhere in there, depending on your time zone. They're pretty exciting. I'm watching stuff that was only a dream growing up, and it is so far advanced over what anybody else in the world is doing. It just amazes me. Just amazes me. And then I have, people make comments on Facebook that want to hate Musk just because he's hooked up with Trump. And golden handshake is similar to a golden parachute, an executive severance agreement. Oh, okay. Oh, okay, cool. Gotcha. Never heard the term. So, what was I saying? Oh my God. I tell you, this Alzheimer's is rough. Let's see if I can do it without it. Hey, no more double click. I learned that. So what was I talking about? Oh, and you're here, you're helping me. What was I saying? That's how invested I was in it. Oh, SpaceX. So I saw on Facebook you have these people that are hating Elon Musk now just because he's in helping find fraud and abuse, all that kind of stuff. Everybody knows what's going on. Half the country. Well, according to the polls, about 70% of the company is loving it, and 30% they're worried about it. To me, I don't get, what does that got to do with SpaceX or Tesla or whatever? You want to hate the guy, but those are the same people that thought he was he was amazing because he came out with the first reliable electrics, which I'm not a fan of. Uh-oh. Well, the video just came back. But I still don't have any chat. Are you there? Is anybody there? Come on, I got something to talk about with this SpaceX thing. but I have to know if you're even there. I don't know if I'm online. It says that I'm still broadcasting. I'm here. Okay. I don't know where the chat went. I don't know what the hell happened. Kicked me out. It shut off the camera. It shut off the microphone. All right. Thank you. You carried the weight today, Owen. Thank you. So, SpaceX. So here's the thing. The people that loved Tesla before want to hate Tesla now. All right, whatever. Do whatever you want to do. But you have to admire certain things that people do. And what I saw on Facebook is, well, he lives off the back of other people, that he's never done anything. He's a charlatan. And wait a minute. Do you not recall when Tesla was on its last legs and investors were pulling out because they couldn't get past a certain point, and he went and moved into the factory and he personally went around station by station helping them improve, made changes, personally did those things. Do you not remember when SpaceX was getting off the ground and it's expensive to do rockets, and they did one and exploded. They did another one and exploded. I think it was a third or fourth one. They had enough money to do one more, and that one more was successful. And that brought some investments back in, but he couldn't afford to have a whole bunch of people there. Now, just because you look for the best and brightest to help you, it doesn't mean you don't know anything. I mean, they existed because of him, and all those people, with all the tons of people with brain power that are there now, didn't start out with him. He would start out with one or two people that believed in it with him, but he's a genius. I mean, there's no way around it. And there's a guy that was an engineer that stuck with him. He doesn't work in SpaceX anymore, but he was there in the beginning. And there was an interview where they said, "No, come on, because you don't work there, you can admit it. This was you." And he goes, "No, actually, it was all Elon." So, the guy is a bona fide genius, and he's doing things at such a speed and at such a scale that I never would have thought possible. It's just amazing what he's doing. And then you look, he's got this boring company. I don't know, he's on the third version of it, and he's putting tunnels under Las Vegas, and he just landed a contract. I forget what other city. It's those machines existed, but he had these ideas on how to improve them, and he was personally involved. Now it's kind of turned over and it runs with other people doing it, but it was something he created. Started out in California. He created that thing off of his genius. Tesla was him. SpaceX was him. And the Boring Company was him. you know, and people, well, you know, he's AOC, you know, oh, he's an idiot. He's the dumbest billionaire I've ever seen. Well, first of all, how many billionaires have you seen? But that aside, no, he's not. He's autistic, and so because he speaks haltingly, and he autistic or no, what's it called? Uh, Ansberger, some burger thing. What? Help me out here. God, I can't think of the word. It's he has a defect. It has nothing to do with. There was a TV show with a guy in it that it was Captain Kirk was in it, and he had this affliction, or somebody in that show had the affliction. Well, anyway, the reason he talks the way he talks and he acts all awkward and stuff, that's burgers. Yeah. Thank you. He has this affliction. And, you know, these people that attack him are the same people, you know, that want to be all righteous about don't pick on this or that or Asperger. Correct. Yeah. Yeah. Not burger, Perger. Yeah. But, you know, so, you know, they're mocking the guy because he has this affliction, but he's still a freaking genius. And he's doing things that, I mean, we always thought like Thomas Edison and Benjamin Franklin, and these were men of their times. This freaking guy, I mean, he takes over X. He loses 80% of the people, and it functions better than it ever did. You know, he does the Boring Company. Now he's got this brain implant thing. He's got the satellites so the entire world can have fast internet. I mean, it doesn't end. The guy just goes and goes and goes, and it all comes from him. It then gets turned over. It gets turned over to other people. But to, you know, claim he's an idiot is just disgusting. This guy's a treasure, you know, and so we got that launch coming up. And I'm invested in these things. I've been watching them and watching the failures and the successes. And that was another thing I read. Well, if he's so good, why is his rocket crashing or whatever? It's the method of what they're doing. It's trial and error. They're learning from those mistakes. These are not actually outperforming function. He's not selling services on them. This is all part of the creation. And it's a way to create a hell of a lot faster than if you do it the way, like the SLS. How sad is that? Went on forever, cost billions and billions and billions of dollars. Now they figure out it won't even work. It won't even work for what they needed to do. Juka, I've had pupils with Asperger's. They can do things we ordinary human beings can't. Yeah, it kind of goes hand in hand from what I understand. It's and certain levels of autism are similar, where you know, idiot savant they'll say, nothing to do with being an idiot, but what definitely Judge Wapner, definitely Judge Wapner, yeah. Whatever that movie was. I think it was with Tom Cruise and Dustin Hoffman, maybe. Kind of a representation where they'll have certain characteristics that are just beyond what a human can be. But on the other hand, well, with Elon Musk, it's very Rain Man. Thank you. It's very high functioning because he can go out and he can talk. He's obviously an introvert, and it's a struggle for him to take his thoughts and put it into the right words. You got to give a guy a slack. Elon is great at technology and business, but boy, did he act weird at Trump's inauguration. Yeah, absolutely. I'm referring to his overhaul. Well, he didn't do a Nazi salute, that whole thing, you know, but that's politics. There's no Nazi salute there. And I love the thing the next day where they had a whole series of Pelosi and AOC and all these people doing these things like that. And, it's like you're only doing it because you want to nitpick the guy because Trump. Otherwise it never would have been an issue. And after a while, that crap gets old. It just gets old. It was obvious. How there's nothing Nazi about the guy. It's ridiculous. Rain Man. Yeah, definitely Rain Man. Yeah. So anyway, I'm excited. I'm excited that it's coming up, and there's a lot of new things going on in this launch. I don't know if you guys followed it or not, but they're going to test out the satellite delivery system, the little Pez dispenser. That thing is awesome. I mean, who thinks of these things? They got the new flaps. They've got a whole bunch of new tiles, different types of tiles that they're experimenting with. They're going to do the engine restart again, that's a biggie. There's all kinds of stuff going on with this one because it's also a different version. All right, we go on 2.5 hours. I'm spent. I don't want to go 3. I will be doing this again. You guys hung in there. I appreciate it. I hope I didn't waste your time too bad. I know it wasn't entertaining and it wasn't all that great, but I could have just turned it on and put a waterfall up. The scene in Rain Man where you could calculate large numbers, but the price of a candy bar was yeah. Yeah, it was a good movie. It was interesting because it kind of brought out, it's like there's something behind these things. But can you remember the TV show? It was they were lawyers, and it had James Spader as a lawyer, and it had William Shatner, and they were like the muckety mucks in this law firm, maybe in Boston. And who had the Asperger's? I think it was James Spader, maybe, that had the Asperger's. Yeah, definitely Kmart. Definitely Kmart has best underwear. Definitely Kmart. Yeah, Kmart doesn't even exist anymore. Boston Public, really? Was that doesn't even ring a bell. I really enjoyed the show. At the end, they'd be sitting out on a balcony, sipping whiskey or whatever, and I really enjoyed that show. It was a little left leaning for me, but those things don't really upset me. I don't care. You see it for what it is, but I very much enjoyed it. Boston Public, okay, could have been. Hell if I remember. All right, I am going to end it here. Man, thank you guys so much for helping me out with this today. I'm going to have to do this a bunch more times. If you're so inclined, maybe come on. We can actually chat on here. Hell, there's hardly anybody watching anyway, so it's like, it won't hurt. But I'm going to end it. What's today? Tuesday. I'll probably do this again Thursday or Friday, and then I've got Coffee Time Live. It's going to be a rough month, but I will see you. Well, I'll see you next time. Ciao.
Wow.